My sister handed me a $1,000 invoice when I asked her to watch my son for 2 hours. "I'm not your nanny or your employee," she said. So I gave her another invoice for $200,000 covering rent, food, clothes, even toilet paper. And I gave her 3 days to move out of my house. My name is Tony. I'm 38 years old, I have a 6-year-old son named Martin, and although my life isn't perfect, I've built it with hard work and sweat. I work as a manager at a logistics company, demanding, yes, but it allows me to give my son everything he needs, a good school, a comfortable home, and, I hope, a bright future. But this story isn't just about me or Martin. It's about my sister, Estefania, and how one simple favor unleashed a storm that changed everything. 2 years ago, my life was very different. Estefania, my younger sister, then 34, showed up at my door in tears, dragging an old suitcase. She had lost her job as a hotel receptionist, and according to her, everything had fallen apart. No savings. Nowhere to go. Her pride was in pieces. She looked at me with those big eyes, the same ones she used as a kid to get me to share my ice cream, and begged, "Tony, please, I have nothing. Let me stay with you until I get back on my feet. I swear I'll look for work and won't be a burden. I'm not made of stone." Estefania is my only sister, and even though we've had our differences, family is family. Besides, I remembered how our mom always said we should look out for each other. So I opened the door to my home, a 3-bedroom house in a quiet neighborhood, and told her she could stay as long as she needed. I didn't ask for anything in return. Not a dime for rent, not a cent for food, utilities, or even the detergent she used to wash her clothes. I thought I was doing the right thing. Helping her felt like my duty as the older brother. At first, Estefania seemed genuinely grateful. She often thanked me, promised she was sending out resumes, that she'd find a job soon and get her own place. I believed her. I gave her her own room, bought her new clothes, since the ones she had were worn out, and even gave her some pocket money each month so she wouldn't feel like a beggar. I wanted her to feel supported and respected while she got back on her feet. But months turned into a year, and then into 2. Estefania stopped talking about looking for work. Whenever I asked how the job hunt was going, she always had an excuse: there's nothing good out there. No one's calling. The market's too competitive. At first, I was frustrated. Then I just accepted it. I thought maybe she needed more time, that eventually, she'd find her path. In the meantime, I paid for everything: the food she ate, the electricity she used to binge-watch shows into the night, the internet for her streaming, even the toilet paper. And not once, did I say anything. I didn't want to make her feel bad. I wanted to be the supportive brother. Martin, my son, was my joy. At 6 years old, he was a bundle of energy, always running, drawing, asking questions. I enrolled him in a private school because I want him to have the opportunities one never had. Being a single dad isn't easy, but Martin makes everything worth it. We had our routine: breakfast together, school drop-off, work, then afternoons doing homework or playing. Estefania, on the other hand, barely interacted with him. She'd sometimes say hello or ask how he was, but she never offered to help. Not even to take him to the park or read him a story. I didn't ask her to. Martin was my responsibility, not hers. But sometimes I wondered, why didn't she care more about her nephew? She was living under my roof, eating my food, using my electricity. Couldn't she at least offer to help with something? Everything changed one Saturday morning. That day was critical at work. My boss called an emergency meeting at the office. It was about a new contract that could lead to a promotion. I couldn't miss it. The problem? The meeting was at 10 a.m., and I had no one to watch Martin. The nanny I usually hired wasn't available on such short notice, and my close friends were all busy. I had no choice but to ask Estefania. I found her on the couch, watching a show on her phone, a bag of chips in hand. I approached her gently, knowing she hated being interrupted. "Estefania, can I ask you a favor?" I said, trying to sound as polite as possible. "I've got an important meeting at work today, and I don't have anyone to watch Martin. Could you look after him for a couple of hours? I'll be back before noon." She looked up from her phone and frowned, like I had just asked her to clean the entire house. "Watch Martin? Tony, you know I'm not good with kids. Besides, I've got things to do," she said, not even making eye contact. "Things to do?" I asked, trying not to sound sarcastic. "Please, Estefania. It's just for a couple of hours. Just keep an eye on him, maybe give him a snack if he gets hungry, and make sure he doesn't get into trouble. He is my son, not a stranger. She sighed dramatically, rolled her eyes, and said, fine. But don't expect me to entertain him the whole time. That kid's a tornado, he never sits still. Thank you. Really, I said, relieved. I won't be long. I left the house with a mix of gratitude and unease. It wasn't the first time I felt Estefania wasn't entirely comfortable around Martin, but I trusted that for just a couple of hours, things would be fine. After all, she is my sister. How hard could it be to watch a 6-year-old? The meeting was intense but went really well. My boss was impressed with my ideas, and the promotion seemed closer than ever. I left the office smiling, eager to get home and spend the rest of the day with Martin. But the moment I opened my front door, that smile vanished. The house was a disaster. Couch cushions were on the floor, covered in red and blue paint. My white carpet, the one I had worked so hard to afford, was stained with color. The dining table was a mess of spilled cups, crumbs, and more paint. And in the middle of it all was Martin, sitting on the floor with his hands and face covered in paint, staring proudly at a wrinkled drawing. Martin? What happened here? I asked, trying to stay calm. He looked up with those big eyes that melt me every time and said, Aunt Estefania said I could paint. She said it didn't matter. I felt my blood boil. Where was Estefania? I ran up the stairs 2 at a time and burst into her room without knocking. There she was, lying on the bed, watching TV with headphones on, like nothing had happened. Estefania! I shouted, unable to hold back. What the hell happened down there? I asked you to watch Martin for 2 hours, and the house looks like a war zone. She slowly removed her headphones with an annoyed look. I'm not your nanny or your maid, Tony, she said coldly, her tone barely recognizable. I can't stand that brat. Let him do whatever he wants. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. That brat? My son? After everything I've done for you, this is how you talk to me? I tried to calm down. Took a deep breath and said, Estefania, I asked for a simple favor. You couldn't watch your nephew for 2 hours without the house getting destroyed? She got up, walked to her desk, grabbed a piece of paper, and handed it to me with a sarcastic smile. Here you go, she said. My time has value, Tony. This is what I charge for babysitting. I looked at the paper. It was a handwritten invoice. It read, watching Martin, 2 hours, $1,000. I was speechless. $1,000? For 2 hours? For letting my son wreck the house while you watched TV? I felt something snap inside me. Is this a joke? I asked, crumpling the paper. You're charging me $1,000, for doing nothing? My time is valuable, Tony, she said again, crossing her arms. If you don't have time for your son, maybe you should give him up for adoption. That was the final straw. After 2 years of supporting her, paying every penny of her existence, giving her a roof, food, clothes, even damn toilet paper, she dared to charge me for a favor? And insulted my son on top of it? I was furious. But instead of yelling, I felt a strange calm. A dangerous calm. Perfect, I said, my voice colder than I expected. If you want to play the invoice game, let us play. I turned around, went to my room, powered up my computer, and started crunching numbers. I pulled out receipts from the past 2 years, rent she never paid, food she ate, clothes I bought her, bills for water, electricity, internet, even toilet paper. Everything. When I finished, the number froze me, $200,000. That's what I had spent keeping Estefania afloat for 2 years. I printed the breakdown, put it in an envelope, and went back to her room. What is this? She asked, with a mix of curiosity and disdain. My time has value too, Estefania, I said, handing her the envelope. This is everything I've spent on you over the last 2 years, rent, food, clothes, even toilet paper. It adds up to $200,000. You have 3 days to pay me and move out of my house. I don't want useless people around me. Her face changed completely. The sarcasm vanished in an instant, and her eyes widened. You're charging me for that? She yelled, furious. I'm your family, Tony. Family helps each other. You can't do this to me. Can't I? I replied, calmly. You charged me $1,000 for not watching my son. If you charge, so do I. And if you can't pay, you're out. You have 3 days. She started yelling, saying I couldn't kick her out, that she was my sister, that she needed my help. But I wasn't listening anymore. The anger had hardened into determination. She crossed a line, and there was no going back. I walked out of her room, shut the door, and went to clean the mess she left in the living room. The next day, when I woke up, Estefania was gone. Her room was empty, her clothes and belongings had disappeared. I guess she knew she couldn't pay the $200,000 and didn't want to face me. I wasn't surprised. Deep down, I always knew Estefania was the kind of person who ran when things got hard. That night, while Martine slept, I sat on the new couch I had to buy to replace the one she ruined. I looked around and felt a strange peace. The house was quiet, and for the first time in 2 years, it felt like mine again. Mine and Martine's. The days after Estefania's departure were a whirlwind of emotions. On one hand, I felt immense relief. The house returned to being a peaceful place where Martine and I could follow our routine without the constant tension her presence brought. On the other hand, I couldn't help but feel a stab of guilt. Was I too harsh? Should I have given her another chance? After all, she was my sister, the only family I had left besides Martine. But every time I remembered her words, "I'm not your nanny or your employee, put him up for adoption," the guilt disappeared, replaced by the anger that still burned in my chest. I took the day off after that chaotic Saturday to clean the house and make sure Martine was okay. I took him to the pediatrician to make sure he hadn't swallowed paint or something dangerous during the mess Estefania allowed. Luckily, my little boy was perfectly healthy, though a bit confused about what had happened. I tried to explain to him, in the simplest way possible, that his aunt would no longer be living with us. Did Aunt Estefania leave because I was bad? Martine asked, with those big eyes that always made me want to protect him from everything. No, buddy, I said, stroking his hair. Aunt Estefania left because she needs to find her own path. You did nothing wrong. This is grown-up stuff. He nodded, though I'm not sure he really understood. But he didn't ask again, and soon he was running around the house with his box of crayons, drawing on paper instead of the furniture. Seeing him so carefree gave me a calm I hadn't felt in a long time. The peace lasted exactly 2 weeks. One night, while I was making dinner for Martine, my phone buzzed on the table. It was an unknown number, but something told me to pick up. When I answered, the voice on the other end was unmistakable. Tony? It's me, Estefania. Her tone was different. There was no trace of the arrogance from when she handed me that ridiculous invoice. She sounded drained, almost broken. For a moment, I thought about hanging up without saying a word, but something stopped me. What do you want, Estefania? I asked, trying to keep my voice as neutral as possible. Tony. I'm sorry, she said, and I could hear her holding back tears. I was a fool. I shouldn't have charged you for watching Martine. I shouldn't have said those horrible things. Please, forgive me. I stayed silent, gripping the phone tightly. Part of me wanted to believe her, wanted to think her remorse was real. But another part, the one that still remembered her words and the disaster she left behind, told me I couldn't trust her. Where are you? I asked, more out of curiosity than concern. I'm at a cheap motel on the south side of the city, she admitted, voice trembling. I have nothing, Tony. No job, no money. Please let me come back. I swear I'll change. I can help with Martine, clean the house, whatever you need. I'll be your nanny, I'll do anything. Just don't leave me here. Hearing her beg was strange. For 2 years, she lived in my house like a queen, doing nothing, never truly grateful. And now, when things got tough, she wanted back in. I felt the anger spark again in my chest. Estefania, you said it yourself, you're not my nanny or my employee, I replied coldly. I gave you a home for 2 years. I paid for everything and never asked for anything in return. And when I asked for one favor, a simple one, you did it wrong, insulted me, and charged me $1,000 because my son trashed the house. And now you want me to welcome you back like nothing happened. Tony, please, she begged, now openly crying. I have nowhere to go. You're my brother. We're family. Family? I repeated, almost laughing at how absurd it sounded. Family doesn't charge you for a favor. Family doesn't insult your child. Family doesn't take advantage of you for 2 years without giving anything in return. You had your chance, Estefania, and you wasted it. I can't keep living like this. She screamed, desperate. I have no money, no job. I can't live in this place. Then get a job, I said, without an ounce of compassion. Figure it out, like I had to. I don't want to see you again, Estefania. Not after what you did. I hung up before she could say anything else. My heart was pounding, but not from guilt or sadness. From liberation. For the first time in a long while, I felt I'd done the right thing. Not just for me, but for Martine. My son didn't need to grow up around an aunt who saw him as a nuisance. And I didn't need to carry someone who only knew how to take and never give. That was the last time I spoke to Estefania. She never called again, and I made no effort to find her. I don't know what happened to her, if she found work, moved somewhere else, or is still in that cheap motel. And honestly, I don't care. My life is lighter without her. Martine and I continue our routine, breakfasts together, playtime in the afternoons, and bedtime stories at night. The house is clean. The new furniture shines, and the white rug was replaced by a gray one, much easier to maintain. Sometimes, when I'm alone, I think about my sister and how we got to this point. I wonder if things might have been different if I had set boundaries from the beginning, if I hadn't been so lenient. But then I look at Martine, laughing as he draws a rocket on a piece of paper, and I know I made the right decision. It's not just about the $200,000 I spent on her, or that ridiculous invoice she gave me. It's about respect. Responsibility. Protecting what matters most. My house is my home again. And while family is important, I've learned that not all blood ties are worth it. Some, like Estefania, are just weights you need to let go of in order to move forward. Now, free from the chains of a relationship that only drained me, I can finally breathe deeply, knowing that my home is a space of love and safety for Martine and me. I'm finally free to focus on what truly matters, my son, my life, and the future we're building together, without ever looking back.